Good morning,
Good morning.
Deborah Leanne,
And
and
Suzanne Joy.
in person because, we're going to be talking about beauty. So why
Because we can.
not? So welcome to today's conversation. We're having a little morning musing over our coffee around
Beauty.
yeah,
This
and the
is
shadow.
this is the gene key 1, and it's moving from entropy to syntropy, and it's the shadow of entropy.
And let's just call it numbness.
That's one of the aspects. It's the complete loss of energy in a system.
Yeah.
That's the shadowy part. But we move to beauty and through the gift of freshness.
And I love this. It took me a while to play with it and to listen to it over and over. Thank you, Richard Rudd, for your 64 Ways audios. And what I found is I would fall asleep every time before I got to the syntropy. So I'm hoping that you can carry me on that
I'm not
part.
sure.
But I can say that what I'm noticing is what a human condition, this numbing out, forgetting, running away from, disconnecting from, we are so busy doing everything but stopping.
Yeah.
And actually, that numbness is a good thing. I was shocked. I thought going to a place of was like,
Well, he talks about comfortably numb. It's being in that state. And sometimes it can be uncomfortable because we're so used to being going to exhaustion. It's when you're in survival mode and you're not, the shadow is when you're in survival mode and you're not able to be fulfilled, you feel exhausted. That is not how we're meant to be on this planet. But as we slow down and we get into that, I feel like it's kind of the void.
and that's why we do meditation, right? We try to get to some center of stasis or some center of peace, and it is kind of numbing out to all of those distractions and turning all that off so that we can be fully open to the freshness, to the creativity. And this is what I thought of this morning when I first woke up. It is exactly what happens when we have that reset every morning. We wake up and it's like there's a fresh new day full of potent possibilities. And I feel that excitement like a little kid sometimes when I wake up and just lay there and think of all the possibilities of today.
What do I get to do today?
Yeah.
It's the blank page. I had this friend of mine, actually, she keeps a journal open and blank because she's like, nothing has been written yet.
Oh, I love that.
So just
versus my to-do list, which
right.
is already filled with a whole bunch of stuff to do.
What do I get to do? What do I choose to do today? What I also love about this is because when we think about this, he talks about it being a blank slate. And for heaven's sakes, boredom.
I love that when the kids come up to you and go, I'm bored. And how typically I did it as a parent is we would go, oh, well, you could do this. You could get your colors out. You could go read a book. You could go run outside. We kind of give them a list of things to do versus going, oh, well, congratulations. That's a great place to start.
Yeah.
What do you want to do with that?
It's a blank slate. It's a clean slate. And that's where beauty emerges is from that space of nothingness.
I love that. And I always thought of numbness and boringness as being like a negative, versus it's the birthplace. It's the yin from which emerges the yang, from which emerges the creativity. Wow. That totally shifted for me today. So,
well, it makes me think, when the repressive side is depressive, it feels, low energy, because
Mm-hmm.
you're drained. You're like, okay, it's almost like you need some space to be alone and just allow it to move through you. The opposite is the reactive, which is frenetic. Like I just got to keep doing things, you know.
Yeah.
You can't. It's like you can't settle down, but you need that
Like a
blank slate. I think of when I just got this imagery of snow. You know, when we just get the first snow and how pure
pure
and beautiful it is. It's a blank slate, and just
until you run out and make snow angels in it. You do it every
I
time.
know I do it every time, but allowing ourselves to just be okay with feeling that,
Yeah.
because that's where we get into the freshness, because then you're open to, as Richard says, joie de vivre.
Yeah,
You know,
the
you're
joie de vivre.
just
Yeah.
the beauty of life, and the just joy of the pure joy of it. So that's where
Which is
the freshness and alive, because you're connected and you don't have any idea what you're doing. You might look like a complete fool, and that's okay.
Which I love that he brings up the tarot card, the Fool, which I used to get so upset whenever I got the Fool because I got it a lot. And even in the Native American culture, they have what's called the what's his name? The he's like the fool. He's like the one that comes into town and
Jester?
trickster. He's like a jester in the Celtic and the
Oh, okay.
English British world. It begins with a K. I'll think of it. And what this person does is he goes from village to village and he kind of knows, or she knows, what's going on, and then tells stories to all the children, but it's all in like fable and myth and to teach something that needs to be taught. And because sometimes we learn from that space. But the Fool, very important, comes from a place of just what is, right? And we are so often running from what is that we don't stop, catch a breath, and then start again. Because that's what gives us the fuel, and it's what generates the creativity. It's what gets your engines flowing again. You know, we need, and I was just thinking about this when you were talking about that, about how introverts will get this. We hit that wall, and energetically, it's like, I can't go any further. I need to regroup. I need to regain some energy. And so just stopping and being in silence and stillness for me allows me to come back to me. It's like, oh, here I am. Hello.
Exactly.
Love that.
I know. Well, it's this is and I love this gene key because this is in the Ring of Fire, and that's your creative impetus. And without that blank space or the blank slate, how would we find, you know?
Well,
and,
we wouldn't
see.
innovate.
Yeah,
we wouldn't be going through evolution. We wouldn't continue to grow and evolve, right? And what I was really shocked about is how the yang, the creative energy, comes from the yin, the nothingness.
Yes.
And I would have thought, I don't know why, probably because I was taught this way in our culture, right? That men make things, start things, that plant the seeds, that whatever. However, they need the feminine to hold it, to birth it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The midwife. This is kind of known as the midwife of an idea. You're allowing that space to grow and come into fruition and to form. And sometimes I think we stop before we even start, because we're either feared of failure or this gene key is so beautiful because it's all about, come on, people, let's be some creative rebels.
It's all about beauty.
Yeah.
So and it also, what I appreciate, because I have the final two gene keys in my chart, 63 and 64, which are, these are the bookends, 1 and 2, and 63 and 64. So it's like the beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega, And I thought, wow, everything can be talked about with beauty. Unity is the other one, right?
Unity.
Beauty and unity, which kind of see how they feel like they flow together. And truth and illumination on the other end. And that's what holds all of this wisdom. And so anyway, I have always been attracted to the word beauty, but I didn't ever really understand the spiritual definition of beauty. I mean, I think I grew up where my mom and I would watch all the beauty pageants. And that was so it was not about beauty. It was about being critical. Like, who doesn't have the perfect swimsuit body or whatever. And I was like, that's mean, And so I always thought that beauty was such a high standard that it was only like for the very elite on the planet that had perfect features and body and all of that. So I think also becoming an elder, I'm learning that beauty is everywhere, all the time, all ages, all sizes and shapes. And it's not about the physical, what somebody's eye color and skin and texture and all of that is about. It's about what's their light. It's like what kind of light is emitting from that person. So
I don't even think that it's just people. I think of beauty as just
I know,
just the sunlight and the creation is all around us. This plant life, it's just life being expressed, right?
Yeah.
So it's just emanating itself.
Yeah,
and
it's alive.
Yeah, it's the nature of love and the nature of the subtle.
And I don't know
nuances.
I don't know if you can see it, but she wanted to do this recording this morning in the corner of the jungle, because I have a couple corners in my house where all my plants got brought in, and they are like, there's big tall trees everywhere. So we are kind of sitting all nestled amongst all the trees and plants behind us. But there is something about light, about wind, about the colors in nature right now, which everything is dying off, but it's also going through its version of color change. And nature's always beautiful. Even in the winter when everything's kind of gray, there's still a beauty around it.
Yeah.
So what else you got for us? You always pull out these little bits and gems. The only other thing I wanted to talk about was to get from this entropy or numbness state to the beautiful state of beauty and everything, the entropy, how creativity kind of opens the door, especially if we're not driving the creativity, like we have to define it. It has to go along this narrow line of possibility, but really being open, having your peripheral vision all the way, what could be possible? What could be possible on coming up with ways to shift relationships or our government or the planetary demise that we are feeling? Or even more importantly, this was big for me all weekend, I think, because of the work I did this weekend, is the war. The wars that are going on our planet. We feel so helpless sometimes. And getting to the place where we just drop in and feel that and allow it to be there, that allows us to realize that we can find the peace within, which is what each of us needs to do. If we have inner turmoil going on, we're just adding to the turmoil in the world, the war in the world, the hatred in the world.
Yeah, it all starts at home.
All starts at home.
It all does, right?
I love it.
All starts at home, all within.
So where does beauty show up in your life? How, I love how the Navajo, especially, I use that term of walk with beauty. It's kind of a blessing or a greeting that they say when you greet someone there, or when you're leaving. May you walk with beauty.
Mm.
And I always thought of it as being like grace. I wasn't sure. But I also think that Mother Nature is like beauty. It's that multi-dimensional, it's like Entropy, right? It's so many. How did you describe Entropy?
Entropy. This is a big word. Let's try and boil it down, shall we?
Yes, please. Yes, please, because it
So
has
it
to do
goes
with
from
beauty. Yeah.
right. It goes from entropy to centropy. So just think of nothingness to everything. What?
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
All right.
movie.
So if you haven't seen the movie, maybe you need to. But it's living in that. I think. It's the quantum realm of energy of infinite dimensions and possibilities. And so it's all imbued with the consciousness of love and unity and order of the cosmos. So just relax. It's all like, it's not linear. We're all like working through it together. It's not, you're doing this all on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so, it also comes when we relax into the nothingness, which allows us to feel connected to everything, right? Or for me anyway.
Yeah.
And I love that. I just feel like it is when I can get to that place, which typically tends to be right before I fall asleep or right when I wake up, is when I remember it the most.
Mm-hmm.
There's times during the day when I can get there, especially if I'm sitting out. We were just sitting outside, beginning our coffee morning this morning, and it's just to feel the cool, it's going to be warm again today after having freezing temps for a week. Now we're going to be back into the 70s and 80s this week. But we're sitting outside just appreciating the morning light, the way it slants through the trees,
The warmth.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So I think this week, this is a great week for us to connect with our heart space.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about the other thing is, I think maybe I'll post it. I have a beautiful prayer that I say every Wednesday that is it originally became the prayer for Ukraine. And now I've extended, we've all been extending. It's a global prayer for peace to just drop in on a global scale every Wednesday, to say this to yourself or with others in community, to keep this energy alive within you and with your, circles. It's just a way that we can help to support. We're not going to be out there on the grounds wielding guns and driving tanks, but we can do it this way. So I will post that in the comments. Other comments? Entropy.
Keep the book open to a blank page.
I love that.
I know. It feels really good because we don't know what's written next. And so
and I always was such a planner.
I know.
And I think that whole strategic planning thing of facilitating others to help them plan their future,
and just allow it to bubble up whatever you're wishing to kind of create by keeping your heart open,
keeping this
from that
open
space.
And doing our
open hands,
saying letting our bodies say yes to peace, to beauty, to unity, to all the good stuff.
Cheers.
Cheers. Take good care, everyone.